Round number 5 of the Fin at Work JuniorGP FIM World Championship here at Autodromo International Algarve circuit. An absolute picturesque, stunning circuit here in Portugal. It's time for the Hawkers European Talent Cup, and last year's winner, 2021 winner, Xabi Zuratuza. Who will it be today? Will it be Max Martinez? Will it be Joel Esteban, or will it be two-time winner from Jerez, Dodo Boggio? 15 laps around this. It's incredibly fast, undulating Portimao circuit. 9 right corners, 6 left to tackle the riders here for the European Talent Cup, and a championship that has only got 1 point between the top two, Dodo Boggio and Joel Esteban, the two Aspar team riders. There's nothing to choose between them, and Joel Esteban, who was your long-time championship leader, does return after missing the Jerez rounds. But Tristan, this is a class that can breed young talent for the future.
Yeah, so this is essentially, the first step in the FIM Fin at Work JuniorGP World Championship is the Hawkers European Talent Cup. It's where they come off, where they start their road in the GP paddock. Of course, the JuniorGP paddock being an extension almost of the MotoGP paddock, being the breeding ground. These are the riders we're going to see making it there in the future.
Yes, indeed, and this is what happened last time out at Jerez. It was champion Max Martinez who took pole, but it was Rushi Moodley from 4th on the grid who took the whole shot into turn number 1. A battle at the front with Brian Uriarte running a little bit wide as Boggio took the lead, but it was action all the way through the field for race number 1 at Jerez, with Boggio making his way through Rushi Moodley. There was crashes further back, but as they came across the line, it was Dodo Boggio who picked up his first race win of the season. Delight for the Italian, but would he repeat the same in race number 2? Race number 2 got away without any problems, but there was a few riders further back. They're running off. Brian Uriarte ran off at the back, and then we've got Dodo Boggio making his way through the field, but then the freight train that was catching them caught them, and it was Casey Gorman who took the lead, but he couldn't hold off, and it was Dodo Boggio who picked up 2 wins from 2 at Jerez. So the Autodromo International de Algarve, the track temperature is 39 degrees, the air temperature 30 degrees, so it's not quite as warm as it has been the last couple of days here, but still very warm here in the Portuguese heat. The Algarve, a stunningly picturesque place here, and a place that would love to come on holiday if it wasn't just for the racing as well, but the racing adds that little bit of spice to it as well. But here he is, Dodo Boggio, your championship leader, the number 47 from Italy. He leads the championship by 1 point, and this is what happened to him in qualifying.
Mañana hay una sola carrera. Será una carrera muy difícil de grupo. Hará mucho viento y calor, pero tenemos un buen ritmo para luchar por la victoria. Como he dicho, será una carrera de grupo de 8 o 9 personas y será una carrera, creo, muy rápida. Tengo muchas ganas de ganar. Bueno, después de 2 carreras de Jerez que han ido muy bien, pues creo que se puede hacer otra. Es difícil porque, como he dicho, hay mucho rápido, pero lo intentaremos, y si no es por la victoria, por el podio.
Dodo Boggio starting from pole position here in Portimao for the only race of the Hawkers European Talent Cup here today at the Autodromo Algarve International Circuit. And well, what a day it was for him yesterday. He starts on pole position, and alongside him will be his main championship rival and teammate Joel Esteban. And Joel Esteban, missing the last 2 races, he found himself leading the championship going into Jerez by 49 points. But for that double race victory from Dodo Boggio, as you can see there, picking up his first 2 race wins of the season, and it's been a bit of an up and down season from Dodo Boggio so far. He's had a 2nd place at Estoril and also a 3rd place, but he's had 2 DNS and a 6th spot, so his championship has been a bit up and down up until this point. But Tristan, as we can see, when a little bit of confidence comes your way and you get that first win under your belt, it's hard to stop that train.
Yeah, we saw it just last time out with in the Moto2 European Championship with Alex Greek, and now we're seeing it with him as well. But now the big story is this battle now between Boggio and Joel Esteban. Of course, teammates, and so consistent was Esteban before. Unfortunately, he missed Jerez due to illness, and that's now gifted. Well, I say gifted. Dodo Boggio went out and won both races, so he very much deserves to take the championship lead. But of course, it was helped by the fact that Joel Esteban wasn't there. So now we're going to see this battle between those two. Joel Esteban's got a point to prove. Boggio's got a point to prove. Excited for this one.
It'll be great action indeed here at the Hawkers European Talent Cup. And between the top two in the championship, there'll be lots to play for as we begin the second half of the 2022 season. Now, Brian Uriarte, who we saw feature very heavily in the Jerez races, has picked up one win so far this year back in Catalonia. Unfortunately, he had, well, no point scoring results in the last two races. Sits down 10th in the championship and only 45 points, but don't take your attention away from that, because his speed in this 2022 season is outstanding.
Yeah, and he was looking really, really good in practice and in qualifying, the qualifying sessions. Of course, they get 2 qualifying sessions for these guys. So watch out for the number 51, Brian Uriarte, because I think he's got good pace going into this weekend. Of course, starting from, like we said, third place on the grid. And I think he's definitely one to watch. He's 4th in the championship. He's only had 1 win so far, but he's had 4 podiums. He's going to be looking to try and stick it to the likes of Dodo Boggio and Joel Esteban. Yeah,
he'll be wanting to steal some of that limelight from those two, especially after he got his first win in Catalonia. But next to him is Rico Salmela, the Finnish rider, the teammate to Brian Uriarte. 2 podiums so far this year. He's 7th in the championship, and you can see that he picked up those podiums at the start of the season. A little bit of a run of form that he would not have liked to have gone on. A 12th, a 5th, and a 12th from the last 3 races. The 5th looks quite good if you compare it to his 2 podiums and the 4th place he had earlier on in the year, but he's been a bit inconsistent, has Rico Salmela, and that's something he'll be wanting to put to bed as the race gets underway here today. But 4th on the grid for Rico Salmela. He's well on a chance for that podium spot and, of course, the race win here today. But here's your reigning champion, Max Martinez, starting in pole at Jerez. 1 win so far this year, 3 podiums, but his start to the year has been not something he wanted. 2 crashes from Estoril and a 26th spot in race number 1 in Valencia. Not the way he wants to begin his season, but as we saw there, he's been on a bit of form. A win further back in the season and, well, a win at Valencia race number 2 after Joel Esteban was disqualified after he won the race. Max Martinez finished 2nd, but there was a late race penalty late in the day, and you had Max Martinez, your reigning champion, moved up to the winner spot. Now here is Hamid Al Saouti, a great qualifying from him, 6th on the grid. Now he's someone who's just been getting better and better and better. The Leopard and Pala Junior team rider, as we can see there, only 2 point scoring finishes at Valencia and Catalonia. Now he's definitely someone that has come on strong.
Yeah, we were watching him yesterday on the side of the circuit, William, and he just looked so confident. He was riding out there. He just looked like he was in the right state of mind. He looked like he was ready to go this weekend. So it'd be interesting to see what he's going to do from there and see if he can stick it to the likes of the guys in front. But such a competitive field. Expect to see a freight train.
Indeed, it's a European Talent Cup. We will expect a freight train at every single circuit we go to here in the championship. And then we've got Alberto Fernandez next up, 6th in the championship on 66 points. And then we've had 3 6th places there. That is a number you don't really want to associate with yourself. But I'm not going to say it because we don't want to wish any bad luck on Fernandez. But then again, 6th in the championship, doing well there, and 7th on the grid. He'll be well and truly in the mix. But as you were saying, Tristan, some of the riders were completing laps out there by themselves. I want to come back to Hamid Al Saouti. He was out there by himself lap after lap after lap in qualifying. And that's got to give him a lot of confidence that he can run with the top group, because he never used a slipstream during qualifying while everyone else was searching for that.
Yeah, that shows that he does have good pace, so that will help him in the race. And the fact that he's able to do it without the slipstream. Slipstream is very important. Less so here because we were talking about it yesterday, coming onto that back straight, you're already in 5th gear, you're already flat out, you're coming on with a lot of speed.
Yeah, slipstream here will be what the riders will be looking for, and with some of the wind that has been here today, maybe it will be quite important. But here's your grid. It's Dodo Boggio who goes from pole position ahead of his teammate and main championship rival, Joel Esteban. Brian Uriarte on the outside of the front row. Then Salmela in 4th spot ahead of Martinez. Al Saouti, we're just talking about him in 6th. And then Fernandez in 7th spot. Further down the grid, it's Pini in 10th, ahead of Carter Thompson and Casey O'Gorman. Watch out for him. And then Rushi Moodley, the South African, in 13th spot, ahead of Graham Plonk in 14th, and then Aguilar in 15th spot. Daniel in 16th, and further back on the 7th row of the grid, we have Paria in 19th, ahead of Gonzalez, 20th spot. Now, Tristan, as we've rolled down the grid here, there's so much to look out for. As we're just running through some of the names, there's so many names further down that you can expect to be on the front or near the front, and 3 of them are here. We've got Garnes and Emmanuel Brinton starting from the back row of the grid for some infringements in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, that's partly because of that is because of penalties. So we did have a few penalties yesterday for the likes of Garnes, for the likes of Garcia and Emmanuel Brinton. That was for riding slowly. They were caught riding slowly in 5 sectors.
Yeah, you've got
There's only 3 sectors on the circuit.
There's only 3 sectors, yeah, it makes no sense, does
a lap and a half.
Yes, but if you're caught riding within your 114% time in 5 sectors through a qualifying, you will be disqualified from qualifying and put to the back of the grid, as they have done. But Brinton and Garnes have got great pace. Expect them to come charging through the field in this race. Now the warm-up lap begins, and it's Dodo Boggio who leads them away. Now what can we expect from Dodo Boggio here today? Will he take 3 wins in a row? We've only seen that happen once before this season. That was Joel Esteban, who won the 3 opening races of the season, and since then it was a disqualification and missing the last 2 rounds through injury. Will he bounce back? That is a plot that we'll be keeping a close eye on as the race progresses.
So expect to see some great action in this class. Like I say, it's going to be a freight train. It's not going to be like Moto2, where we can sort of predict who the winner is going to be with more or less 3 laps to go. It's going to be last lap, last corner, drag to the line sort of stuff, and I can't wait for it. That's
an interesting point you make there, Tristan. Yeah, coming out of the last corner, even if you're leading coming out of the last corner, it's all about the exit. Now, you've ridden here in Portimao in the Supersport 300 class a few years ago, and you were telling me yesterday that no matter what, you can get, even if you've got a slow bike, you can, if you carry the speed, you can carry the speed all the way onto the straight, and top speed isn't really what matters here. But even still, if you're leading the race, coming out of the last corner, you might still get slipstreamed across the line. Oh yeah, it's definitely possible to slipstream to the line here, as we saw Anna Carrasco take her maiden victory back in 2017. Were you riding in that race? I was, yeah. Oh wow, so a bit of history there. A little bit, yeah. I was right at the back, but I was there. But yeah, so one thing that we do see here is bikes that aren't quite perhaps the fastest bikes on the grid don't suffer as much, because they're already coming onto the front straight with a lot of speed, so they're already carrying that momentum. The bike isn't having to accelerate and bring that momentum up from a low speed or a low gear. It's already got it. So we see it's less of an issue here, but there's definitely going to be slipstreaming. That's a no-brainer. Oh, you blink and you miss it. And the Hawkers European Talent Cup, you can go from leading the race to 7th spot within the blink of an eye, but that is something that Dodo Boggio will not be wanting to happen as he rolls up to pole position. There's your championship standings there. Boggio leads it from 1 point over Joel Esteban, Guido Pini in 3rd, and Hakim Danish 21 points further back. Anything can happen here in Hawker's European Talent Cup, and it usually does, because it is one of the most competitive championships in the entire world. And lots of the kids here will be on the road to MotoGP, looking to become the next star of MotoGP. But who will be here today? Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves into the future, because it's the present we need to talk about. The 2 Asper Junior Team riders, 1st and 2nd on the grid. Brian Uriarte on the outside of the front row. The red flag is removed from the grid. The red lights will come on. The revs will be rising. And we will have European Talent Cup action underway now, and it's a great start from Dodo Boggio. Joel Esteban a little bit slow off the line. Brian Uriarte gets a great start from 3rd spot, but Boggio into turn number 1, and we've got the 27 of Rico Salmela into 2nd spot as well from 4th on the grid. And around the outside goes the number 51 of Brian Uriarte. He slots in the 4th spot, but deep on the brakes. Salmela up the inside, doesn't take it. Boggio holds on to the lead, but around the outside, the top 4 chopping and changing every way you look. And further back, we have Max Martinez, your champion from last year, in fifth spot as they head down to turn number 5. It is Dodo Boggio who leads the way comfortably, a couple of bike lengths, but Martinez looking up the inside of your former champion.
Oh, Boggio goes down!
Boggio's down, we're talking him up so much. Boggio high sides out of turn number 5. Oh, that's not what we like to see.
Now, that will probably be a red flag because we saw yesterday there was a crash there. The bike was in the middle of the circuit. It's difficult to get those bikes away on time, but in all fairness, they've got a full lap before the bikes come around again, so we'll have to wait and see, and we'll keep you updated as to what happened there, but a really, really nasty crash there. So we're back to the front then, and that has unsettled the order quite a bit. It's the 2 Monlau bikes out the front now. Casey O'Gorman up into P3, so brilliant start from the number 67.
Yeah, fantastic start from the Irishman there. He's managed to avoid all the incidents that were going on at turn at number 5. We do have a red flag. Yeah. Not surprising there because, as you were saying, Tristan, when there's a bike there in the middle of the circuit, it is difficult to get to, and we saw that in qualifying yesterday when there was a bike in the circuit. We had to get the red flags out to retrieve the bike, but fingers crossed that the riders are all okay and it's just the bikes that are needing retrieved. But yeah, we had a medical team on the circuit there, but fingers crossed for the rider that's down at the moment. We will keep you up to date with everything that is going on with that as well. But yeah, lap number 1 incomplete here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. The red flag is out after a crash for Dodo Boggio, your championship leader, who was your early race leader. He crashed, and then riders further back, unsighted, had nowhere to go, and unfortunately crashed into the stricken 47 machine. Yeah,
unfortunate to see the race being stopped. We will get it restarted and back underway, but you know, that is unfortunate. But safety does come first, and that was a big scary crash. Unfortunately, Boggio had a big one, but then a bit further back, when riders get collected like that, clear in the air on the bike, it's very scary indeed. But hopefully everyone's okay and we can get this race restarted fairly promptly.
Indeed. Now the riders come back into their pit box. They'll be getting a cool drink to, well, calm the nerves ever so slightly because, well, I've done a bit of reef racing. You've done more. Well, there's Dodo Boggio coming back. Now he's a bit of a limp on him after that. It was a huge high side from your championship leader, the Italian Dodo Boggio, so no surprise there. He's got a bit of a limp on. And yes, it's a shame there. He was looking so strong this weekend and he didn't even get to complete 5 corners, so to speak, here. But we will keep you up to date with everything that is going on here in Hawkers European Talent Cup and when the race will begin once again. But Tristan, this must be so difficult for a rider to build themselves up for a race start, especially on lap number 1 when your nerves must be at the most intense because of everyone around you. And then the race is red flagged. You come back into the pits, and then you've got to redo the whole process all over again. Yeah,
it's an absolute roller coaster because obviously the nerves are setting in. You get the race underway. You've got all the adrenaline in there. So and then to come in again, and then the nerves settle down a bit. But then you've got that worry of, you know, are your fellow competitors okay? It could have been me. So, and then got to go back out there and then do it all again. So it's not an easy thing at all. There is the bike of Dodo Boggio that's unfortunately not in the best shape at all, and we've got a rider being on a stretcher there, being carried away. So that's not a sight we like to see at all.
No, indeed not. Getting put into the back of the ambulance. But this is what happened at the start of the race. Now, it was a great start from your championship leader, Dodo Boggio, number 47 on the right-hand side of your screen, got away very well. But it was Sal Mellon, the number 27, who went from 4th into 2nd spot. And into turn at number 1, it was the championship leader that led the way with Sal Mellon in 2nd. And it was Esteban and Uriarte fighting out for 3rd and 4th, with Uriarte out on the green and having a bit of a wobble as it comes to turn number 1. But here's where it happens. Turn number 5, hard on the gas for your championship leader and just lost it. And he got flicked up hard by his machine. And then the riders further back had nowhere to go. And as you see there, yes, that was the number... Well, one of the riders there that had nowhere to go and unfortunately hit the stricken machine of Dodo Boggio. The more we see this, the worse it is. That is the number 20 there of Owen van Treet that, well, he got launched into there after hitting the Aspar machine. So as the marshals clear the debris on the track, we have seen van Treet put into the back of the ambulance. But fingers crossed, that's just a precautionary check at the medical centre he will be going to. But we will keep you up to date on everything that's happening with the fallen riders. There's Joel Esteban. He missed all of that.
They're watching it back there.
Yeah,
you can see the expression on Nico Terrell's face, and that's exactly how we were when we saw it. Horrible.
Flabbergasted, really. So yeah, Nico Terrell really showing the facial expressions we all had while watching that back, indeed. But yeah, we can imagine that Dodo Boggio will not be getting back into this race. So that is, well, it's Christmas has all come at once for Joel Esteban, really, because he managed to avoid all of the action going on around him. And, well, even though he dropped back at the start of the race, he'll get another chance at the Cherry for start number 2, which will be the main race.
Yeah, that's what they've got to, unfortunately, despite everything that they've just seen and despite everything that's just happened, they have to think about going back out there, and they have to think about their race strategy and what's about to happen. So it's all about staying focused now and trying to put that out of your mind if you can, and then maybe after the race they can think about what happened. And it's incredibly unfortunate. Max Martinez, obviously last year's champion, the reigning champion, elected to stay in the championship once again. I'm assuming that's for age. Done okay this year. I mean, hasn't had the best season considering he was the championship last year, but it's been pretty strong.
Yes, he's had a difficult start to the season. 2 DNFs from Estoril, 2 really big high sides during both races in Estoril, and then he was showing strongly in race number 1 at Valencia before there was a technical issue that put him out of race number 1, but then came back strongly in race number 2 to take the win and then reassert himself back as a main contender here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. He's still got a long way to go to catch the top 4 in the championship, so to speak. But the riders here, now we will get a complete, we're just having it pop up on our screen here, a quick restart procedure. The pit lane will reopen at 12:18, so for 60 seconds, and it'll be a 10-lap with original grid position. So a 10-lap race for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. The original grid positions will be set. So for the likes of, well, Casey O'Gorman, who found himself in 3rd spot, he's going to be starting mid-pack once again, so he's got all that work to do. And of course, for the likes of, well, we've got to check. Well, Johnny Garness and Emmanuel Brinton, we assume that they'll be at the back of the grid once again. So that's a shame for them, who also made good starts. So it'll be a complete reset. So it's a bit like the first part of this race didn't happen at all. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, he's going to have to do it all again, is Casey O'Gorman, the number 67, the Irishman, of course, last year's British Talent Cup champion. He's got all that work to do again. And there in the vision track box, you can see the father of Carter Brown. Unfortunately, Carter didn't quite make it into the race after finishing 3rd in the last chance race yesterday. But that vision track team set up for British talent and to bring these British riders on. And a lot of these riders doing really well, obviously, but struggling a little bit with the change of tyres. A lot of them racing over in British Talent Cup and racing here in the European Talent Cup, and the differences between the tyres is huge. They run Dunlops in the British Talent Cup, they run Bridgestones here, and Carter Brown was saying that the difference is huge in the fact that there's so much more grip on these circuits and there's so much more grip in these tyres, and he says he can feel what the bike is doing more on the Dunlops, and he's struggling with the Bridgestones to find that limit because they're on or off. They're either you've got grip or you're down. So it's such a difficult task for these riders to keep switching. Casey O'Gorman's doing a good job. Of course, Casey O'Gorman isn't racing in the British Talent Cup this year, which is helping him focus completely on the European Talent Cup. He is also racing in the Red Bull Rookies, but like we were discussing yesterday, it's so much easier to swap between a bike that's completely different rather than the bike that's the same but with small differences. So it's good to see all these British riders are out there and doing that, and this Vision Track team, obviously set up by Michael Laverty, is helping them through it. Is indeed bringing lots of young British talent through the ranks, as we see with Scott Ogden in the Moto3 World Championship class there as well. Now, we just had a flash up on the screen. I'll quickly remind you once again, we're going to have a quick restart procedure. Pit lane will reopen at 12:18 local time, so that is in about 7 minutes from now for 60 seconds. So if you don't get back out onto the track within the 60 seconds, you're in big trouble because you will not be able to take the restart. You will have to start from the pit lane. It will be a 10-lap race with the original grid positions. So anyone that made up any positions, some that lost it, doesn't matter. It's all a fresh restart, and we go once again for what will now be the Hawkers European Talent Cup race.
So the riders wait to get this race restarted and back underway. And like I say, we're going to have a restart of 10 laps. So these guys are going to have to get ready to get out there and be ready to go. So everything that's just happened, they're going to have to put that behind them, restart, go again, and hopefully get off to a cleaner start this time.
Yeah, hopefully the restart will be without any incident, as Arushi immediately takes a cold sip of water just to cool down and get himself recomposed.
We think
it's
water. Anyway.
Well, we think it's water.
It's probably not a pint.
No, probably not at all. That would definitely get him an instant disqualification if it was that. But
nice and relaxed, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would make you very nice and relaxed indeed. But not here in this Algarve heat. But we see a lot of the fans out here in action today. They're definitely fully relaxed and maybe have a pint in their system as well. We saw some Jose Antonio Rueda fans, not sure if that's family or friends or just fans indeed. The fan club usually starts with the riders here in the Fin Work FIM Junior GP World Championship from a very young age. So Rueda already having fans out there, but the fans out there just waiting for the Hawkers European Talent Cup action to get underway, as are we here in the commentary box. Which will begin in about 5 minutes' time with the pit lane reopening this fantastic circuit in the Algarve. We've been absolutely flabbergasted, blown away by how picturesque the circuit is here. Tristan, you've been here before. This is my first time, and this place is one of the most incredible facilities in the world. Yeah,
incredible circuit to ride, complex circuit to ride, loads of blind corners. Almost all the corners are blind or complex, and you've got late apexes, you've got downhill braking, you've got quite a bit. Here's a little replay of what happened last time of the start. Then we had Dodo Boggio, who did start from pole position and got a clean start down into turn 1, but unfortunately 5 laps later it wasn't meant to be. Nice and smooth down into turn 1, a lot of them, but unfortunately 5 corners later we had a bit of a disaster.
We did indeed. Yeah, a bit of a moment for Dodo Boggio coming out of turn number 5. Hard on the throttle as he exited the turn 5 hairpin, the left-hander, which does, you come down the hill and you go into a bit of a dip as you go into the left-hander, and then as you
getting on the gas,
and it just flicks him. Hit him really hard in the kickback there, and the riders further back were unsighted to that, and the number 20 of Owen van Treed had absolutely nowhere to go, and then hits the stricken Aspar Junior team bike. Dodo Boggio was very lucky himself not to be collected by any other riders. The number 9 there of Matteo Roman as well just glanced the Aspar bike as well. So there's Dodo Boggio coming back into the pits and just checking out the crash.
Yeah, Van Treet, unfortunately, down and out of the race. Real hard impact. Unfortunately, just caught unsighted. Really, it's an easy thing to happen. It's an unfortunate thing to happen. But the Dutchman, the 13 years old, only 13 years old, he's going to, well, I say learn from the experience. There's not much you can learn from it. It was completely unsighted, and it's unfortunately it is a thing that happens in racing. So hopefully he's come away relatively cleanly from that.
Yeah, the only silver lining we can take from that is that there was no rider collected when Dodo Boggio did crash. So, well, the riders did hit the bike, but they didn't hit Dodo Boggio himself. So the helmet gets back on. Brian Uriarte, who was leading that race after everything that happened at turn number 5, he gets ready for start number 2. Now he will be de facto second on the grid now with Dodo Boggio's absence from pole position. So he got off to a good start in the first part of the race. He found himself in 3rd spot behind Boggio and Salmel ahead of Joel Esteban. But it's Marcus Martinez that we should be watching out from 5th on the grid. Now, he was looking very up for it and aggressive into turn number 5 just before everything kicked off. There's Rico Salmela, who just avoided Dodo Boggio's stricken Aspar machine. Rico Salmela, the Finnish rider, the number 27, really baby-faced as well, to be honest. Doesn't look like he's old enough to be racing one of these Hawkers European Talent Cup bikes.
Well, a lot of these riders are under 15, 16 or younger. I mean, the young rider that crashed there, the number 20, Owen van Treet, was only 13 years old. So this is a class for young riders. This is where they start. Well, I mean, a lot of these guys will be riding since they were very young. A lot of them since they were even 4 years old will have started on mini-moto machines in mini-GP categories. In the UK, we have the Fab Racing Mini-Bike British Championships. But this will be like that one of their first tastes of big track racing. And one of the riders we've seen come through those Fab Racing Mini-Bike is the rider on screen, Emmanuel Brinton. He's moved to Spain, we think pretty much just for racing, just to be competitive out here, because we know how high the level is in Spain.
Oh, this is a place you have to be out here in Europe, in Spain, in Italy, to become a future star. It's not necessary you have to be out here, but for the best chance, it's the best place to be. And Emmanuel Brinton, I remember talking to his dad in 2019 when I was covering the Fab Racing Series, and they were saying they're moving it to Spain. I was like, why? Why are you moving it? He was like, well, you've got to be out there to go forward, and it makes a lot of sense. And Emmanuel Brinton is one of the riders that is starting to come strong in the Hawkers European Talent Cup class. Took his best result of the season last time out in Jerez, race number 2 with 6th spot. Could have been better in race number 1, but he was giving a long lap penalty for scene track limits in race number 1, which put him well out of the running. Still managed to collect some points, but that was the first time that he was outside the top 10 all season long, so showing great form as the young Briton, Emmanuel Brinton. So as we hear the bikes warming up once again, the number 27, Rico Salmela, is getting pushed out into the pit lane as his teammate as well, as his teammate Emmanuel Brinton is as well. We've got the bikes heading out onto the circuit. We've got Bellon, the number 33, stopping at the end of pit lane.
Eager to get out.
Eager to get out, indeed, yes. And they're so eager, they've given them the green flag and away they go. So remember, 60 seconds the pit lane will be open for, and if you miss those 60 seconds, you're going to be in big trouble. You will have to start from the pit lane. So that means that your race will be very difficult to come back from right from the start. But
I mean, it's hard to miss it. You see all the bikes going out on circuit.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to miss it, wouldn't it?
Unless you've gone for a
it
little bit of a
happens,
nap.
though. It does happen.
It does happen. We have seen it a few times. Yeah, some people just tend to be a bit of asleep in the garages, just waiting for the race to begin again. But thankfully, or hopefully, we have all the riders heading out onto circuit. There's David Gonzalez, the number 11 on the Campiones machine. A very nice looking bike. I've always enjoyed the look of the black and red machines and the Cuna de Campiones colours. Very, very distinctive as well.
Yeah, and a project that's been going on for quite some time now and has been helping develop talent, young talent of all nationalities as well. Casey Gorman had a little bit of experience in there as well. A project that they run teams in European Talent Cup, in Junior GP, and it is a platform to develop young talent, and it's great to see those things, those sort of academies being created. There's many more of them as well, but it is incredible to see. The Vision Track as well, the Vision Track Racing Academy is brilliant. So they've got bikes all the way down to the Fab Racing Mini Bike Championships, and now this is them trying to get that bike repaired for Dodo Boggio. I don't think they're going to make it out of pit lane in 60 seconds unless they want him to start from pit lane, but it doesn't look like that bike's going to be anywhere near ready.
No, you've got a couple of minutes to get it ready for the warm-up lap, and or the start of the race anyway, but I cannot see that happening. That will be some effort if they manage to get it happening, but yeah, and there's Dodo Boggio with his helmet on, so he's expecting to go back out.
They're trying, aren't they?
Trying. So this is like Marc Marquez and Estoril in 2010 when he crashed in a sighting lap, and they managed to get the bike back in. Repair job, miracle. They managed to get his machine back out.
He'll be looking for a performance like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Aspar team are one of the slickest teams in the entire championship. One of the best, and they're breeding young talent. As we're talking about young talent, we've got the Estrella Galicia team, we've got the Vision Track Cuna de Campiones, and also the Aspar Junior team and the Leopard Junior team as well. So many teams out there just breeding young, great talent coming through the system. Now the riders will be lining up on their grid spots, and they're really trying for that.
It doesn't look like they're having a lot of luck.
No, it doesn't
look like that bike's ready to go at all, does it?
I will be amazed, absolutely stunned, if they manage to get Dodo Boggio back out for the start of this race. It'll either be a pit lane start or the back of the grid start, but considering the fact that he will not be at the end of pit lane for the start of the warm-up lap, it will be a pit lane start. That is the only thing that he can hope for, and if he does, well, chapeau, round of applause to everyone within that team. But here's the man, second in the championship, who was your long championship leader coming into Jerez last time out, but he was out through an illness. Joel Esteban, 3 wins on the bounce at the start of the season from Estoril race 1 and 2 and Valencia race number 1. And the work continues here. Everyone, even probably people from Joel Esteban's side of the garage is trying to get Dodo Boggio back out on the track. But if this doesn't happen, Joel Esteban has a great chance here to retake the championship lead and pick up important points over his championship rival, Dodo Boggio.
Now they're getting a seat unit on that bike, so they're making some progress with it, but they're already away on their warm-up lap, so it's going to be, if they do get it back out and running, he's going to be starting from pit lane.
Absolutely. So we're away for the warm-up lap for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Round number 5, race well, not race number 1, it's the only race of the day here at Portimao for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Brian Uriarte is heading the field away for this warm-up lap with Rico Salmela. Rico Salmela got a stunning start from 4th on the grid. Can he do it again for the second part of this race, which is now becoming the main race as well? And Casey O'Gorman from 12th on the grid, we need to watch out for him because he goes up to 3rd before the red flags came out. So Casey O'Gorman, the Irishman, will be praying for a start like he had in the first part of the race as well.
Yeah, absolutely so. So the number 67, Casey O'Gorman, got a lightning fast start in the original start. So we'll hopefully be doing the same in this one as well. He's going to have to do it all again, but he knows he can do it. He's already done it, and he knows how to do it. So there he is on screen as well, the number 67, the young Irishman, of course, last year's British Talent Cup champion. Everything he touches seems to go to gold. Last when he was here in Portimao, picked up 2 podiums as well within the Red Bull rookies. Yes,
as you say, everything he touched seems to work for him. He was also a Fab Racing champion back in 2018. Multiple Fab Racing champions. So you know he's good. He's very good. And the Michael Laverty Vision Track Racing team, they've got lots of great riders, lots of great personnel within the team. Taylor McKenzie, who's also a British champion as well, is the team manager there. So the riders, some of them taking the long lap penalty. But now I wonder if they're expecting maybe getting a long lap penalty.
They're planning to have a penalty.
They're planning to have a penalty. Now, we have seen in the past year, it does happen within multiple championships. You run in the green 3 times, that's a warning. You run it 2 more times, that's you got a penalty, a long lap penalty for you. So you sort of get a few crack of the whips before you're actually given the long lap penalty. But it's so easy to run out on the green. We saw so many lap times getting cancelled here in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, final corner coming out on the green there. You can see how easy it is to go out on the green there. First corner as well, really, because the exit is blind, really easy to run out of track limits there. So it will happen. So hopefully everyone more or less gets away with it, but we'll have to wait and see. So keep an eye out on it. Keep an eye out for the number 78. That is was the championship leader, now just 1 point away, and with Dodo Boggio looking like he's not going to be able to start, he's taking his gloves off, so that is curtains for the number 47.
It was a tough ask for the team to get that bike fixed for the start of this race. I mean, a good effort from them, but maybe a couple more minutes and they could have got it sorted, and Dodo Boggio could have been back out on the circuit. So dejected look of Dodo Boggio, your championship leader, who crashed at turn number 5. Highside, he will not be taking the start for this race here at Portimao. The Hawkers European Talent Cup. The red flag goes off the grid. The green flag waves in the background. Joel Esteban takes a de facto pole position. The lights are on, the go out revs are rising, and it's a great start from Brian Uriarte. Rico Salmela from 3rd or 4th on the grid gets another fantastic start. He's up into 2nd, following his teammate Brian Uriarte. Esteban drops further back, and Max Martinez will be slotting into 4th spot, or will he? Yes, so we've got a ready to come around the outside into 4th, but Danish, what a start from Danish on the number 13 machine, but Joel Esteban dive bomb up the inside of Salmela, pushes the Finnish rider wide at turn number 3, but it's a bit of a gap opened up at turn number 4 from your race leader Brian Uriarte. Now hopefully everyone can get through turn number 5 without any incident, as we saw earlier on today. Late braking for Max Martinez, your champion from last year, but through turn number 5 they go. So far, looking so good without any incident.
Yep, all through cleanly so far, and now we have a battle out the front. It is Brian Uriarte that has the lead now ahead of Joel Esteban. He's going to be looking to rack up points now. Dodo Boggio out of the race, and he needs to rack up points now for this championship. Just 1 point behind, of course, was out of Jerez due to illness, and he is looking menacing now on that number 78 bike. So you have the red bike with the black flashes leading. That's Brian Uriarte. The red bike with the white flashes is your man to beat, the number 78 Joel Esteban, and just behind is Rico Salmela, also red bike with black flashes. So keep an eye on them. But the number 28 is looking menacing well as well. He's having a little look up the inside of Salmela. Doesn't quite make it stick this time around. Of course, number 28, Max Martinez, your championship winner last year in the 2021.
Yeah, he's now started to find his form as Max Martinez. A bit of a horrible start to the season, a win at Valencia race number 2, and he's now really kicked into some form. But further back in 5th spot, great start from number 24, that's Guillaume Plonk, the Frenchman. So he's now bridging the gap. There's a braking group of 6 here in Portimao. The top 6 will come across the line any second now. And Slipstream City as a complete lap number 1. Joel Esteban takes the lead from Brian Uriarte, but here comes Rico Salmela, the Finnish rider. Will he be late on the brakes to take the lead? Not quite. He's lost into second. Such a small rider compared to his teammate Brian Uriarte. He uses that small frame. Oh, Brian Uriarte back up the inside. And here comes Max Martinez. He takes third spot. So Salmela again absolutely beaten up and pushed back down to fourth with Guillaume Plonk in fifth spot. And then it's the number 26 of Pau Alsina just waiting in the wings as well. But do we have another change of lead? Well, Brian Uriarte get up the inside into turn number 5. That was a tough move, but very nicely done from Brian Uriarte on the number 51 machine. So that is Brian Uriarte back into lead of the race, ahead of Joel Esteban and Max Martinez, your champion from 2021.
I am so ready for 9 more laps of this. It's going to be changing positions all race long. This will go down to the wire at the end. Which way is it going to go? It could be any of these guys around this circuit. So then it is Joel Esteban who's having a little look at the inside. Can he make a move at turn 11? No, he runs wide. He's trying to get a good drive out of there. If you see them running a little bit wider than the rest of the field, that means they're trying to open it up, ready for the next sector. Difficult to pass through the next corner though. Will he have a little look? Again, at this corner, not quite able to make it stick this time, but now Max Martinez up into P3. He's looking menacing as well. As they come into the last couple of corners, there will be changes of position. A little look behind him there, Uriarte. What are you expecting to see? Yeah. They're all going to be there.
Yeah, there's good. He was going to look over. Why is he looking? He's looking over his shoulder. I mean, to see how many people are there, you can hear them surely, and you know you've got a freight train.
They're not quiet, are they?
Yeah, they're not indeed. They're some of the loudest bikes I've ever heard of in my life. But the Hawkers European Talent Cup Championship is always filled with freight trains, and he's now trying to break the slipstream as Brian Uriarte weaving as he came onto the straight. As he flashed past our commentary box window, it's Joel Esteban who's trying to get into lead, but it's Max Martinez, your champion from last year, who takes lead at the start of the lap at number 3, and Brian Uriarte, but Guillaume Plonk, who's now gone into third spot, fastest lap of the race at 1:51.496. Brian Uriarte late on the brakes at turn number 3. He's back up the inside into top spot and pushes Max Martinez down into second. Like
we said, this is going to go on all race long between these guys, but Max Martinez is on an absolute mission.
Yeah, Casey O'Gorman, 7th spot. He is now catching the leaders as well. He's gone from 12th on the grid to 7th. He's one of the quickest riders on the track, a 1:52.163 last time round for the Irishman. Well, he is now catching the top 6, bridging that gap from the second group to the top group. You'll see him come into shot. There he is as he comes onto the back of Pal Alsina, the number 26 machine. So expect him to be there within the next lap and a half.
Casey O'Gorman on a charge then. The young 14-year-old hasn't finished outside the top 5 in all the races that he has finished this season, also racing over in the Red Bull Rookies, but plenty of action out the front then as Max Martinez has now hit the front. What is he going to be able to do on the number 28 machine? He's got a little bit of breathing space there, but that's not going to last long. As they come out onto the front straight, the slipstream effect will claw them back in once again. So then Max Martinez leads from, that is the number 51 of Brian Uriarte, and now the number 78 of Joel Esteban.
Max Martinez was out on the dust there, got a little bit of a kickback as he got the rear wheel onto the dirt. And
he's trying.
Yeah, he really is trying. He's trying to break the slipstream, but Max Martinez, 4th spot here in 2021, so he does well at Portimao, and he was only half a tenth off the win here last year. He'll be hoping to go 3 spots higher here in 2022, but he's got a freight train to fight off here.
Double bubble slipstream.
Double bubble. Here comes Joel Esteban, your second place in the championship, former championship leader. But Brian Uriarte is coming up the middle, but it's Max Martinez holds him off, and it's Martinez from Esteban. If Martinez is out wide, Esteban's on the green as well. You don't want to be doing that too much in this race, or you will get a long lap penalty. And with 7 laps remaining, that will be curtains for your race.
Yeah, we did say so easy to do that at turn 1. That's once now for the number 28, so he's going to have to keep an eye on that 2 more times, and that is a long lap penalty then. Your ex-championship leader, vice-championship leader, number 78, Joel Esteban has hit the front then. So what can these guys do about it? Look at the number 67 on the blue bike. Casey O'Gorman absolutely flying through the pack. He's going to, we saw it back in Jerez, he's able to carve through and get himself in podium contention. I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again. Like
a hot knife through butter as Casey O'Gorman. Fernandez, the fastest lap of the race now, a 51.064. Fernandez down in 9th spot. So the final work, Mir junior team rider. There he is on screen there. He's now caught the group just behind Hamid Al Saouti, who was leery on the brakes in turn 5. I saw off screen there, but managed to hold position a few corners ago. But this is heating up nicely. Now Brit watch further back for the people that, for the 2 riders that started further down the grid. Johnny Garnes is up to 18th from the back of the grid. grid, and Emmanuel Brinton is just behind him in 19th, so they're coming through the field nicely and just on the fringes of the points at the moment. So with 7 laps to go, expect them to be making some waves through the field.
Yeah, Johnny Garnes, your current British Talent Cup championship leader, his teammate, the number 67, Casey O'Gorman, last year's British Talent Cup champion. So that Vision Track team got plenty of British talent coming to the fore, but it's Casey O'Gorman who's looking menacing on that number 67. The Irishman just not quite in the slipstream at the moment, but there's moves being made out the front as well. Plenty of big moves in this race. Brian Uriarte, it looks as if he's going to lead down into turn 1, but they're side by side. They're 3, 4, 5 abreast.
Wow, Joel Esteban on the brakes there, was not letting that lie there. Round the outside at turn number 1, he holds on to lead ahead of Guillaume Plonk, the 24, the Frenchman. He started to come on strong in this Hawkers European Talent Cup Championship now that he's managed to get his, well, feet on the ground and some getting up to speed as well. But Brian Uriarte, he's coming alongside the Frenchman into turn number 5, late on the brakes. Everywhere you look, the spots are changing. We can't even call this because Max Martinez is now up into 3rd spot as well, and just behind them on the number 93, 3rd in the championship. He'll be looking for 3rd in the race. It's Guido Pini on the number 93, the black and yellow machine. You can't miss him. He stands out with that. Oh, he had a bit of a moment there coming through turn number 7, did Guido Pini. That sets up the riders just behind him, and that's given a bit of a gap to the top 2 in this race. That's Joel Esteban and Uriarte are breaking ever so slightly the chasing group behind.
Will we see a breakaway 1-2? The slipstream effect should claw them back in. Here's a replay of that action down into turn 1. Esteban managed to hold on to it. Guillaume Plonk just about manages to slot himself into P2, just pushing Brian Uriarte ever so slightly wide there. The perfect block pass from the number 24 Frenchman. And the number 24, Guillaume Plonk, 15th in the championship. His best result's been 7th so far. So this is an incredible, incredible ride from the Frenchman. And if he can manage to pick up a podium, he'll be very happy. But even so, he's on for his best result. If it stays like this, it's not going to stay like this. It's
not going to stay like this at all. This is the European Talent Cup, where everywhere you look, everywhere is changing. Blink for a second and you'll miss it. And as we blink now, that's Max Martinez coming alongside Brian Uriarte for 2nd position. Your champion from last year, Brian Uriarte, goes into the slipstream of Max Martinez as he shoots his way to the front. Now, will Joel Esteban be late on the brakes? No, he won't. So it's Martinez from Uriarte, and now Joel Esteban, who goes from 1st to 3rd. But the top 4 is breaking away ever so slightly.
Oh, look at this.
Uriarte late on the brake. We've seen that a couple of times from the Spaniard. He is precise and brilliant. That pushes Martinez out, and Joel Esteban takes full advantage of that as well.
Now, we've seen time and time again, these races go on like this all race long in low capacity racing, and they're passing all race long, but nothing really matters until you get to that last lap. So why are they making all these moves all the way through the race? Basically, they need to be able to stay at the front. The longer you can stay, you'll find the riders who finish at the top will tend to be the riders that stay within the top 3, within the top 5 all race long, because they're making moves, because it's pass or be passed. If they're not making moves and pushing their way to the front, they will be overtaken. Casey O'Gorman now, though, looking menacing all over the rear wheel of Guillaume Plonk. Expect him to be making moves very soon.
Cue the shark music for Casey O'Gorman. Now into 5th spot. His teammate Johnny Garnes, who started from the back of the grid, is now into the points in 14th. So the Vision Track racing boys are really making a good fist of it here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup race. So we've got a move from Casey O'Gorman. No, he's slots back into 5th spot. There's no point in making a move around about this end of the circuit, because you can really unsettle yourself and your rival, which creates a gap to the front. And we can see the top 2 every time we come round to the start of the lap. That gap that they've already pulled out will begin to close in, but this gap looks really menacing right now between the top 2.
Yeah, so like you say, no point making rash moves. You can wait till the straight. There's plenty of slipstreaming and passing action happening down that front straight. So Casey O'Gorman will get a bit of a slipstream now from Guillaume Plonk. Will we see any changes at the front? It's going to keep going on like this all race long, like we've been saying all race. This is the championship at the moment as it stands. Esteban would have a 21-point lead over Guido Pini. It's so open at the top of this championship. There's so many names. It could finish completely differently.
Oh, it could. Within a blink of an eye, things will be changing as we're about to see Brian Uriarte up the inside to turn number 3.
Chatter on the front.
He's pushing them out wide. Yeah, neither of them are giving the other an inch, and that's just going to play in brilliantly into the hands of Max Martinez just behind, who's licking his lips, rubbing his hands, but like, keep doing more of that, guys. That just brings me right back into contention with Casey O'Gorman into 4th spot as well. And the number 54 of Alberto Fernandez, who we're talking about, had the fastest lap of the race. He is now, there's a bit of a moment there for Fernandez. Every time we talk about someone coming through the field, we start catching the group in front, there's a bit of a moment for them. Maybe we should stop talking about them entirely.
Yeah, someone being sat up in the background there. But now Casey O'Gorman looking so smooth with those lines on that number 67 Vision Track machine. Brian Uriarte really wants this one, making some really harsh big moves on the number 51 machine. Top spot. He's had a pretty decent season so far. He's had 1 win already. He's had 4 podiums. He hasn't actually finished outside the top 2, but he's had plenty of DNFs. So in all the races he's finished, he's been in the top 2, but just too many DNFs to be in that championship contention.
It's incredible consistency he has, as you say, top 2 in every single race that he's finished. Unfortunately, he's not finished every single race, but with that sort of consistency, Joel Esteban and Dodo Boggio, who's sadly not taking part of this race. What a bit of a moment there for Brian Uriarte coming out of the fast right-hander. That will give Joel Esteban a bit of a moment to catch back up to Uriarte, as you say, is really wanting this here today, stretching the gap. And Max Martinez cannot go with him. He's got a bit of a gap to Casey O'Gorman in 4th spot. So it's the top 3 come across the line. It's Uriarte, Joel Esteban, 3 laps to go, and Max Martinez 6/10 further back, but he's really quick in the straight. He closes the gap down here, but as the lap progresses throughout, he loses that time again. So it's Uriarte back to the front with 3 laps to go. What can Joel Esteban do about the number 51?
So it's a top 3 breakaway. On that last lap, they were all in the low 151s. The rest of the field in mid 151s. So they've managed to break the likes of Casey O'Gorman and the rest of the field. So it looks as if it's going to be Casey O'Gorman trying to defend that 4th spot for the rest of this race. And it's going to be between the number 51, Brian Uriarte, who's currently leading. 78 is Joel Esteban, and just behind number 28, that is Max Martinez. All on red bikes, just to make it all that more confusing. But just going onto the green there, Joel Esteban, I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen it do it this race long, so not a problem just yet.
Yeah, there's all 3 laps to go, so he'll have to go out there a few times to get himself a long lap penalty. But there he is again. Yeah, so this isn't over just yet. So he might be picking up a warning pretty soon as Joel Esteban. And it looked like Uriarte was almost out there as well as he came over the crest of the hill. But poetry in motion from Brian Uriarte there, the Monlau rider, looking absolutely on form at the moment as he tries to open that gap over your former championship leader and last year's champion, Max Martinez, who has sort of closed the gap ever so slightly on the top 2. Last time round, he was a little bit quicker than them. He was 1/10 of a second quicker than your top 2. And on this lap, he looks like he might be even quicker. Once again, Uriarte has a bit of a moment. He sets the bike up. Maybe he's just trying to get the bike onto the fat part of the tyre to get the power down to the ground to give him more traction on coming off the corner, because he really opens up the gap there over Joel Esteban as they come onto the straight. 2 laps to go. The number 51, it is Uriarte from Joel Esteban and Max Martinez. It's only these 3 in contention for the win now. And with 2 laps to go, it could be anyone's between these 3. The standout riders from the race so far. Uriarte late on the brakes. Joel Esteban and Max Martinez. There we go.
What a lap!
That is incredible. A 150.9, the only rider so far here today.
By over half a second.
Incredible. Max Martinez is not out of this. And we've got a bit of a moment there for Uriarte. Or just different lines. It may have just been some different lines there from Uriarte, Esteban and Martinez, who's got a great run off of turn number 4 down towards the hairpin to come. He's going to try and go around the outside of Esteban. That's not going to work. He's done it up around the outside of Esteban, up the outside of Uriarte. Martinez now leads the race. What an incredible move.
2 laps to go then, and it's getting oh so hot here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. They're 3 abreast. Once again, up the inside goes Brian Uriarte. Joel Esteban now down to P3, and Max Martinez really wants it, but he's gone wide there, and that's going to allow both of them through. Track limits warning now there, yep, for the number 78, Joel Esteban. We saw that coming, so he's going to have to be very careful there, and that's not something you want on the last lap, because you want to be able to use all the track and more on this final lap. But now, all this battling is allowing these riders behind to catch up with them, so despite the pace of these guys at front, Casey O'Gorman's now in the mix, so is Guido Pini on the number 93.
Joel Esteban looking over his shoulder there to see how many riders were in the group. He thought there were only 2. There's now at least 8 of them, and we've got chopping and changing.
Hold your breath.
Yeah, that was Pini up the inside of O'Gorman there and pushes O'Gorman wide. O'Gorman's losing a couple of spots there to Guillaume Plonk as well, but Pini is not out of this. So all of this battling, they're holding each other up. And Joel Esteban leads the way. There's only a lap and a bit to go. They come into the final corner and chopping and changing. That's Max Martinez getting pushed out wide by Brian Uriarte. Guido Pini on the Teclo yellow and black machine is well and truly in this as well. He looked like he was out of it half a lap ago. Yeah. But to come across the line to start the final lap, it's Max Martinez. The little frame of him, he gets some great speed down the straight and into turn number 1. Well, here comes Casey O'Gorman as well into second spot. And Joel Esteban, lay on the brakes, retakes third spot. It's all kicking off here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup in the final lap.
You could see how much the front end was chattering on the number 67's bike there. I wasn't sure if he was going to come out of there alive, but he has, and he's safe. And it's now the number 28 of Max Martinez who has taken the lead. A brilliant lap the last time round as well, again in the 150s for Max Martinez, so he really wants this out the front. We've got reigning champion, we've got the championship leader, and we've got the British Talent Cup champion up the inside of the current championship leader. He's now up into P3, so that is, or is he? He's got the inside line as Joel Esteban. So is Guido Pini. He's having a little look up the inside. Well defensive for the number 78, but he's having another little look as the number 67. Not quite this time round. Just final sector to go.
Final sector to go, anyone's race within the top 10. Johnny Garnes is in this group as well. His best showing on the number 57 and 8th spot, so he can pick up a few more places. A few corners to go, chopping and changes. This is overtaking spot. Here comes Uriarte and Esteban, both up the inside of Max Martinez. Half a lap remaining. Max Martinez is not letting this one die. Uriarte, has he timed this to perfection? Here comes O'Gorman. Here comes Pini. Who's going to be third? It's O'Gorman. Pini slots in the second. Max Martinez has been shoved back from 1st to 5th in the matter of only a few corners. 2 corners to go. Here comes Max Martinez. Uriarte trying to gap them. He's always quick out the corner. Slide there from Joel Esteban. 1 more corner to go. We don't want to be watching this. We want to be watching what's happening at the front. It's going to be Uriarte who leads him onto the straight. Will he get the run off the corner? Will it be Joel Esteban? Will Casey O'Gorman hold on to third? Comes in from Slipstream. Here comes Esteban and Uriarte. Photo finish. Who was that? It was Uriarte by 6,000ths of a second. Casey O'Gorman in third. Max Martinez pushed down to 4th. Guido Pini 5th. Guillaume Plonk in 6th. Alberto Fernandez in 7th. And Johnny Garnes from the back of the grid all the way up to 8th. Fantastic ride from the British Talent Cup Championship leader. He finishes in 8th, just ahead of David Gonzalez and Hamid Al Saouti rounds out the top 10. Brian Uriarte looks at his bike just like, yes, well done for giving me the speed on that. Held off Joel Esteban by 6,000ths of a second. That's quicker than a blink of an eye, Tristan. That's incredible.
Take a breath, Liam, because what an exciting finish to that race we had. Doesn't get any closer than that. 6,000ths of a second between Brian Uriarte and Joel Esteban. Casey O'Gorman picks up another podium on his season. So brilliant for the young Irishman, repping the Vision Track racing team. Brilliant to see from there. Roush Moodley now celebrating with Brian Uriarte. What a race we just witnessed. I'm sad we only have one of these ones.
Yeah, same. I want race number 2 later on because that was outstanding stuff. We thought with a lap and a half to go it was going to be between Uriarte, Esteban and Max Martinez, and then all of a sudden the chasing group headed by Casey O'Gorman came out of nowhere and then all of a sudden made it a freight train of about 10 riders. Incredible stuff. Hawkers European Talent Cup at its absolute finest.
Yeah, absolute brilliant stuff, and it looks as if Brian Uriarte's stalled that bike now, so he's going to have to try and get that restarted. Not easy bikes to restart without the little machine you see in pit lane that they use to start the bikes, and now he's going to have to bump it. Of course, they don't have an electric start. They have to be bumped to be able to start, and that's a safer weight.
Yes, we hope that Brian Uriarte will be able to get his machine back to Parc Fermé so we can chat to him post-race as well. But, well, Brian Uriarte, that is another incredible ride from the young Spaniard. Really coming on form now. And as we said, he's only finished either 1st or 2nd in the championship, in every race so far in the championship. There he is, Johnny Garnes from back of the grid, 30th on the grid to 8th. Just
what a ride.
Well, what an incredible ride. He was only, well, he was less than a second off the win. He was on 7/10ths of a second off the win. And there he is, Brian Uriarte pops a wheelie. He's got his bike restarted and he's going to be heading back to Parc Fermé to pick up the winner's trophy.
Yeah, an incredible race for the Brits and the Irish then, with Casey O'Gorman picking up another podium on his season. He'll be happy with that one. And Johnny Garnes climbing all the way from 30th up into P30. The 13-year-old, the British Talent Cup championship leader. But Brian Uriarte then it was who took the win, and an incredible wheelie from the number 51. The number 67, Casey O'Gorman, so happy with that P3. Was so close as well to the win, but as ever in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, such close racing in this class. Had a lot of success here last time out as well in the, well, last time he was here, which was with the Red Bull rookies earlier in the season for the first round of their season, picked up a 2nd place and a 3rd place. So he goes well around Portimao, and he's proved it in both classes that he races in. Joel Esteban then picks up P2, the perfect return to form after his unfortunate missing out on the Jerez round due to illness. So he's picked up some important points for the championship. Brian Uriarte, though, picking up even more on the number 51. There he is, though, celebrating that race victory, another race victory on his campaign. And here's how it happened then. It's down into turn 1. Here's a replay of Max Martinez leading out the front, and all these guys swapping and changing positions all race long. The number 67 of Casey O'Gorman fighting all the way through the race as well, and this was the drag to the line between Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte. Uriarte taking it by just 6 thousandths of a second, as close as you like between the top two. They battled all race long, and they share the spoils out on the podium, with Uriarte taking the win ahead of Esteban, and then Casey O'Gorman fighting his way up into P3 as well. Max Martinez, despite that fastest lap of the race with the 150.5, despite that mega lap that he put in down in 4th spot, just finishing off the podium. He'll be slightly frustrated with that one, but still good points for his championship nonetheless. There he is then, your race winner, the number 51 of Brian Uriarte, comes into pit lane finally after stalling the bike and having to get it restarted, and he celebrates with the team. Brilliant, brilliant stuff to see from the number 51. The only race of the day then for the Hawkers European Talent Cup, so he'll be happy to take full points possible this weekend in Portimao. Of course, next time out they will be in Aragon. They won't be going to the Misano round. It'll only be the JuniorGP, the FIM FIM JuniorGP Championship. Only that class will go to Misano the next round, and then so they'll be back out at Aragon for another couple of races. And the championship's getting lively at the top, so close at the top of the standings. And another brilliant, brilliant race from these guys. The Gas team then also celebrating down in Parc Ferme. Another brilliant result. Unfortunately, you see Dodo Boggio there as well, already out of his leathers, congratulating the guys. He'll have such a sour taste after that. Unfortunately, it was his own mistake, and that could have been him holding the number 1 plate, but no, it was Brian Uriarte who celebrates another victory in the Hawkers European Talent Cup for him, of course. His 2nd victory of the season, his 5th podium of the season. Again, now, still hasn't finished outside the top 2, has the number 51 of Brian Uriarte. So a brilliant run for the number 51. Pit lane to open for the JuniorGP in not too long, so make sure to stay tuned for that one. We've got one race for the FIM FINetwork JuniorGP coming up, and also a race for the Moto2 European Championship as well. Soon we will have an interview down there with the number 51 of Brian Uriarte. Liam is down with Brian now.
Brian Uriarte, another win in the 2022 Hawkers European Talent Cup. Very well done.
Thank you. For me, this win is so special because yesterday my coach was his birthday, and I want to say happy birthday to him. I think was the dinner of yesterday that made me win, and I'm so happy because this weekend I was working so hard in the pace, try to see how I can escape from the group. We don't have luck to escape, but I think we will work harder to next race in Aragon and try to win.
And in Spanish as well, please.
Bueno, lo primero quiero dar las gracias a mi coach, que fue ayer su cumpleaños, Y bueno, creo que la cena de ayer también me ayudó, así que bueno, estoy muy contento porque este fin de semana hemos estado trabajando muy duro en el ritmo, ver si podíamos escaparnos. Finalmente no hemos tenido tanta suerte como para escaparnos, pero bueno, creo que podremos trabajar más duro aún para Motorland e intentar lograr la victoria. Quiero dar sobre todo las gracias al equipo, a mi familia, que son los que me apoyan día a día, aunque no estén en las buenas, ni la gente que sabe lo que me pasa continuamente. Así que muchas gracias a todos.
Congratulations, Brian Uriarte.
Thank you.
Here's how it went down then in the only race of the day for the Hawkers European Talent Cup in Portimao. It was Dodo Boggio that took the whole shot in the original start, but then crashed out, and a big crash for Dodo Boggio, and unfortunately Owen van Treat hitting the bike and going over the top. A big crash for those guys. The red flags came out, and then the race was restarted and back underway. Unfortunately, Boggio wasn't able to get back out for the restart, and it was Brian Uriarte who took the whole shot down into turn one. There was battles all the way through between the likes of Uriarte. Rico Samella was in there as well. Joel Esteban also in there, fighting all the way through. The championship leader on the number 78 machine. The reigning champion, number 28, Max Martinez, was also in the mix, but this move happened time and time again by the number 51, Brian Uriarte. Max Martinez kicking up some dust, set an incredible lap, a 150.5. There was plenty of action, a lot of them running onto the out of track limits, but no long lap penalties this time around. They just about managed to stay within the rules this time. So battles all the way through. Guillaume Plonk managed to find his way up into top spots, into the top spots, and eventually did pick up his career best in 6th. But this just went on all race long. Unfortunate for Dodo Boggio, didn't get back out, but then this battle at the front was hotting up so nicely. That move was being made so many times. We saw it earlier on, we've seen it again now. Number 51, Brian Uriarte, battling his way through. Max Martinez was so determined all race long, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. Plenty of battling between those guys, allowed the riders behind to catch them back up, and then it was a huge freight train of riders at the end of the race trying to battle it on. These big moves were being made into turn one. Casey O'Gorman, number 67, managed to fight his way through and eventually finish on the podium, and it was absolute chaos on the last lap as they all wanted a taste of the champagne. Coming up to the flag though, it was Brian Uriarte who took the win by just 0.06 of a second ahead of Joel Esteban. Jubilations for the number 51, a beautiful wheelie from him as well. He comes into Parc Fermé and celebrates his 2nd win of the season. Your podium finishers then ready to step up onto the podium. Stepping into 3rd place once again will be the number 67 of Casey O'Gorman. It was 9th in the championship going into the race, just 14 years old, picking up another podium on his 22 championship campaign. Joel Esteban will be happy picking up 20 points, and Brian Uriarte picking up the full 25 for the 2nd time this season. He celebrates that with Joel Esteban. Good to see them all shaking hands. Good race between the lot of them. Such close racing in this class. They'll now be presented by the trophies by Armando Marquez, who's going to present the trophies to these guys. First off, the 3rd place trophy to the number 67 of Casey O'Gorman. Of course, the 2021 British Talent Cup champion, also riding over in the Red Bull Rookies. Joel Esteban picking up 20 points for his championship campaign, going into, of course, perfect recovery from him after missing Jerez. But the top spot went to Brian Uriarte, the number 51, who was so determined all race long, takes the victory once again for the 2nd time on.
Well, plaudits all round for your race winner, Brian Uriarte. Another race win in the 2022 Hawkers European Talent Cup. And they pose for the pictures alongside him, Joel Esteban, and the second podium of the season, second on the bounce, Casey O'Gorman, Michael Laverty's Vision Track racing team. Fantastic result from the top three, and it's the only race they will be participating in here today. As this brave something that's going to be similar to Champagne, but won't be Champagne because they're too young, more like Rosewater for your top three. In today's Hawkers European Talent Cup, it was Brian Uriarte who took the win ahead of Joel Esteban, 6,000ths of a second in it, ahead of Casey O'Gorman, Max Martinez, who shuffled back to fourth in the last lap, Guido Pini in fifth spot ahead of Guillaume Plonk, Alberto Fernandez, and Johnny Garnes from the back of the grid. 7/10 off the win from 30th all the way up to 8th. Fantastic result for the young Brit. David Gonzalez was next up ahead of Hamid Al Suuti, rounding out the top 10. Rushi Moodley, the South African, 11th ahead of Carter Thompson. Rico Salmela, the Finnish rider who started well but dropped back ahead of Pal Alsina, and Emmanuel Brinton, who also started at the back of the grid. He finished in 15th. Final point in the race ahead of Jesus Rios. Further back was Cesar Paria, and 18th ahead of Christian Daniel, and 19th spot ahead of Lorenz Luciano, the Belgian, and 20th, riding at the top 20. Alvaro Fuertes in 21st ahead of Enzo Herrera, and then Gonzalo Perez in 23rd, Blai Trias in 24th, and then further down in 26th spot was Mateo Roman, the final finisher. Then it was Hakim Danish, one lap down, Mac Aguilar, who didn't finish the race as well, and Owen Van Treat and Dodo Boggio, your other two riders who didn't take the restart after a crash in turn number 5, which brought out the red flag for the first part of the race. Try as they might, the Asper Junior team tried to get Dodo Boggio back out for the second start, but try as they might, it didn't quite work. But for round number 5 here at Autodromo International do Algarve, it's Brian Uriarte who takes the win in Portimao.